Okay, field placements. These are some of the classes that you could take. I'm not sure what field placement, like the number for a field placement is, but these 495. Yeah. Okay, these are actually the research studies in psychology. A Psych 290 is a directed study in psychology. That's where you work directly with the professor, helping them with their research. Psych 402 is an independent study in psychology. This is where a professor kind of gives you your own little project to work on and isn't as hands-on. For example, if you're in a directed study in psychology, you work very closely with the professor. You kind of do what the professor wants you to do. If you do an independent study in psychology, I did one in leadership, or I started one in leadership. I never finished one in leadership, but like...
It's a constant process.
Yeah, it's a constant process. You can come back to the professor. He'll let you know what you're working on, what you need help with. And if you stick with it, you'll finish it. Not like me. Next slide. Oh, okay. Also, field placements. Field placements are, if you're interested in a specific area, you can actually get like hands-on experience in that area. Dr. Monica Reese-Bergen. I thought, wasn't it?
It was Joey.
It was Miss Grayson last year, but she retired. So now Dr. Monica Reese-Bergen is now the head of that. You would go see her, and if you're interested in the IO psychology or counseling psychology, she will hook you up with a like real life work experience, actually going to a site and doing counseling or studying under someone or shadowing someone that gets that has an opportunity to do counseling.
With field placement though, Alex, can I?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
There is an application. So you have to apply in the fall for the spring semester and in the spring for the fall semester. So if you are interested, make sure you apply ahead of time before you expect to get right in there.
As with the Psych 290s and 402s, there are also applications. You can't just, oh, I want to do research and do research. You actually have to go contact the professor, sit down. If the professor's not really feeling you, you may or may not be able to do research with that professor. You can be a teaching assistant. This falls also under Psych 290s. You assist a professor in the administration of his or her class. I'm a teacher's assistant for the grad prep class. You do everything from grading papers, you give presentations, you update Blackboard, a multitude of things. If none of those are really what you're into, you can join a club or organization. A great organization, so I've heard, is Psychology Peer Advising.
Yeah.
There are honor societies like Psychi. You can join a club, which is Psych Club, Active Minds, the Association of Black Psychologists. There's Psychologists for Sustainability. The list goes on and on. Or you can join a professional. You can get recognized as a student. You can't literally join it because you're not an actual psychologist, but you can become an associate, or I forget the exact term, but here at JMU they have the American Psychological Association, and I believe they have the American Counseling Association as well, but I may be wrong.
Yeah, I don't know why I had to go after Alex. It's embarrassing. Yeah, so anyway, thanks Alex for the introduction. I appreciate it. I'm going to talk a little bit about post-graduation, what you can do after James Madison University. A lot of us are seniors in here, and this is what we're thinking about now. So luckily for me, I get to do this research, and it's helping me out a little bit. So I'm going to focus on difference between job opportunities after graduation, going to grad school, and possibly a Plan B/Plan C option. So yeah. So the difference between job versus grad school right away. It's a big decision to make. You have to plan ahead, think about financials, what your career path wants to be. I had someone this summer tell me, picture yourself in 5 years, and if you're happy, that's where you want to be, then you have to think of all the things that you want to do to get there. So if you want to be a clinical psychologist in 5 years, you're going to have to go to grad school to do that, straight out of undergrad. So that's something to think about. Also thinking about locations you want to be in, and stuff like that. So, and also thinking about populations you want to work with. So that would be the decision-making process. When you work right away, you can start making money. If you want to save up to go to grad school later, that's a good option. And going straight to graduate school, a lot of careers that people choose as psychology majors will require a master's or PhD or PsyD, some kind of higher level education. Okay, so some job options that you could do straight after graduation are these listed here. You could be a sales representative. We have, in the psychology major, we practice a lot of communication, a good skill to build to be a sales rep. Also, advertising agent. We learn a lot about how to persuade people, think about behaviors. This way, you could be in advertising, you know how people behave when they see certain advertisements. So that's a cool way to get involved in the job. Also, a mental health technician. You could work under a mental health therapist or psychologist, any kind of clinical person, as kind of their shadow. And that way, you could get involved getting a job right out of undergrad, and then if you wanted to go to grad school later, you know exactly what you would want to do it for, or maybe what you didn't want to do it for after that experience. Also, you could be a career counselor. That could be for people in transitions between jobs or undergraduate students who are about to go into jobs. We have a career and academic planning program here at JMU, and there are a lot of career counselors in that. Also, you could be a probation and parole officer, and that is if you're interested in criminal justice, maybe you're a criminal justice studies minor. That's a way you could get a job right out of undergrad. We also have writers. A lot of writers come from psychology degrees. Psychology is a very versatile major, so you could do a lot of things with it. You could do market research, doing polls for companies, and collecting data and analyzing that data, and then also childcare work. So there's all these different options that you could do and not necessarily have to go to grad school right away. Okay, well, so there are some perks to going to grad school right after undergrad, and one is the ability to be able to work as a psychologist. If you want the title of psychologist, you have to get a higher degree. Also, the more degrees you have, the higher your salary is probably going to be. It also makes you a lot more marketable for jobs later on. If someone's applying to the same job as you are and they have a bachelor's degree and you have a master's degree, they might be looking at that to see that you've had more experience learning about that certain field and in that field, yeah. Okay, so preparing for graduate school. First, you have to do a lot of research on what schools you're looking into. If you're interested in school psychology, you're going to want to look for schools that have school psychology programs. You can't just apply to any school like liberal arts undergraduate programs because they're more specified. So doing that research, you want to find schools that are the right fit for you. Schools that are the right size, you want to look into the demographics of the classes, the different opportunities they have. Some places will have opportunities for you to work in the field, some might not, some are more research-based, and some are more practicum-based. So you want to look into what you want out of the program. Also, you want to solidify your interests. You might be interested in everything psychology right now. I'm still interested in everything psychology. So it's good to know exactly what you want to go to grad school for. You don't really just want to go just to go, because then that might not really help you once you get out of that school. You still don't really know what you want to do. Then you want to look at programs that are accredited. A lot of people wouldn't take your application for a job if you've gone and gotten a master's degree in a non-accredited program. And that just means that the nation has recognized the school as a legitimate program for the degree that you've received. Okay, then the application is going to be a big process of applying to grad school. A lot of them are online nowadays, and you can just send them right in. And making sure you're on time with that. You want to make sure you're doing everything at the right time so you can get it in on time. And then another component is letters of recommendation. So you want to start thinking now, if you're thinking about grad school, what kind of professors or employers are you going to ask to write your letters of recommendation? You want to make sure they're people who know a lot about you, who have seen your work and will write you something that's really great and other people are going to want to hear about you. Also, you have an opportunity to write personal statements for most programs. This statement is usually going to ask, it'll have a prompt sometimes that asks you why you're interested in this program. So then it gives you an opportunity to say why you think you'd be good at it, why you want to do it. It also gives you an opportunity to explain anything if when you send in your transcript, maybe you withdrew for a semester for medical reasons. And they're looking at your transcript and they see you've gotten straight A's all of college, but one semester you have all these W's. And they have no idea what that was. So that gives you an opportunity to explain why those might be on your transcript. Or any other thing, like you got an F in one class, but everything else you did really well. So they'd be like, why does this person have an F in this one class? Then you can explain it to them. Also, you want to request your transcripts, and you can do that through the Office of Registrar here at JMU, and they will send your transcripts to the school you're applying to. Finally, and probably most importantly, something you really have to plan for is taking the GRE. And that's kind of like the SAT for graduate schools. And that's a big component of applying to graduate schools. Most schools require it, and luckily we are going to be doing a whole symposium on GREs coming up at our next symposium. So we will be able to explain everything about, there's a new GRE, so we'll explain all about the changes, and why it's so important for graduate schools. Did you have a question?
Mm-hmm. I think last year they had the GREs here. I don't know if they're going to have it again this year. Do you guys happen to know?
I know that they do practice GREs here, but you have to go to a testing site to be able to take the GRE.
The practice one is on the 25th of September in ASAP
at 2 o'clock. Good. Okay, so maybe you guys are a little bit overwhelmed about this right now. I'm a little overwhelmed too. There's lots of options, but maybe you're thinking, I don't know if I'm really ready to go to the real world yet, and I'm not sure if I'm ready to go to more school. So here's some options for what we like to call Plan B. If you're thinking, I've been in school for a million years, and all I know is how to study and take tests and be in classes, I want to try something new. So here's a couple options of ways that you could get involved outside of school, outside of the working world, and just around people that your same age, kind of going through the same thing as you. The first option could be Peace Corps, and this is an international opportunity that's 27 months at least, which is so a little over 2 years, where you can go work in different populations all around the world, just doing stuff. You could either do agriculture, education, working with the environment, working with youth and communities. Lots of opportunities through the Peace Corps that would be really cool and a cool way to learn about a different culture and experience different cultures. Another one, if you're not so excited about going somewhere out of the country, you could do AmeriCorps. So AmeriCorps is a domestic in the United States, kind of the same thing as Peace Corps, but it's usually about 10 months to a year, so not as long, not as far away. You could still be able to do the same kind of thing, but just within the United States. Another option is to teach languages abroad. So you could teach English abroad in a different country. And one group that does that is Language Corps. And what they usually have you do is you have to take a Teaching English as a Second Language certification course first, and then they will help you find a job somewhere in another country to be able to teach English. And you can teach to children or adults who are trying to learn English. Lots of cool opportunities through that too. And finally, Teach for America is another awesome opportunity if you think that maybe you're interested in teaching, but don't really want to get your master's degree right away to be able to teach. You could apply for Teach for America. And what that is it's a 2-year commitment to teach in a rural or urban city somewhere in the United States. So yeah, those are just a couple examples of different things you could do that aren't necessarily jobs or grad school right after. They're just fun and would look great if you do decide to do a job or grad school after that too. So hopefully that was a little bit helpful for any of you guys thinking about the future. Does anyone have any questions? No? No? Okay.
Thank you guys for coming. I hope you guys got some good information out of that. Thank you presenters for presenting. I liked it really well, I thought. But are there any last minute questions about anything? Not necessarily Haley's section, but anything that pops in your head yet? No? All right. Well, I just want to let you guys know now that our next symposium, like Haley mentioned, is going to be in October on the GREs. So it's everything you need to know about how to sign up for them, how to prepare for them, like tips for taking them and stuff like that. So definitely be ready for that one. It'll be really helpful for those of us who aren't freshmen and are sophomores who are ready to take that step with the GREs. But yeah,